YouTube, what is going on? This is Gino Bonino, and this is a video entry for He's Got Freaking Issues 300 sub contest that he just started about a month ago. I've waited a little while. I wanted to actually plan this out a little bit. So the visuals, first of all, you've got to see his videos, watch it from the beginning, and then in what you're seeing here to the left and right of my comic book will make a little bit more sense. Also, along those same lines, we've got Barbie, and of course, if you're 18 and over to enter this, this is perfectly okay. And of course, she has on her pasties, so we're good. We're still doing the PG-13 area here. Anyway, Daryl wanted us to, first of all, let me talk a little bit about Daryl, and I'm not, again, I hate always this mutual admiration stuff that YouTubers sometimes do, but truthfully, his was one of the first books, one of the first channels that I saw that had to do a lot with grading and all that, and that's sort of a new thing to me. Again, grading is something that really wasn't that prevalent back when I collected, and so it's sort of a new thing to me at least, and I didn't know too much about it as far as what constituted a 9.8 book, what constituted a 9.4 and whatnot. So I happened across his channel, and I was taken by how well he knew his stuff in regards to graded books, and also how good he did as far as getting high grades, 9.6s, 9.8s, and like that pretty consistently. So his was one of the first channels that I stumbled across that really helped me understand that a little bit better. So again, I do really appreciate that. As far as shout outs go, and again, I kind of hate to do this as well because you're going to offend some people that you forget you're going to. Also, it seems like you're aligning yourself with others, and if somebody doesn't like them, then they get grumpy, and etc., etc. But once again, I'm just going to shout out people. My history goes a little bit like this. I really didn't know too much. I got back into the hobby not too long ago, and wanted to get some information. And of course, I was I use YouTube a little bit to do things like figure out how to fix my motorcycle and stuff like that. But I didn't really use it for social things. So I was actually going to get information about how to grade books, like I just mentioned, and stuff like that. And I happened across actually a very cool community. People tend to stick together, help each other out. There doesn't seem to be a whole bunch of backbiting and whatnot, and I really do appreciate that. So once again, that's why I keep coming back. I learn stuff all the time. And it really is neat just to see how well everybody interacts and how people try to help. And there's people that are brand new to the hobby. There's people that have done it for 30, 40 years. And it just seems like everybody gets along. Now, if you go to other sites, if you go, for instance, to Google, the Google map, Google areas, or even to some of the boards and whatnot, there tends to be a little bit of backbiting. There tends to be a little bit of sarcasm. If somebody asks a dumb question, they get their ass kicked for asking it and whatnot. And again, that's one thing I don't see as much here. So it is a good place to be able to find out information and whatnot. The channels that I stumbled across when I first started, to be honest, ETA Nick, I found him very knowledgeable. I always enjoyed watching his Gotta Have It videos on Saturday morning to see what stuff was going for as far as high-end books and whatnot. Alex, the comic hoarder, I just appreciated his enthusiasm, and also he does a real good job technically as far as producing his videos and whatnot. I could certainly learn a bunch of stuff from him. And like I mentioned already, this channel, He's Got Freaking Issues. I always appreciated, again, the books, the grades, knowledge as far as how to get good grades, and also a wide variety of stuff he collects. He's not just Marvel, he's not just DC. If anything, he does kind of some obscure books and stuff like that, and that's what I really like about his channel. Jim's Comics. Jim is probably the closest thing as to a YouTube buddy that I got. We share information, we bounce stuff back and forth, we kind of get each other's jokes and stuff like that, and I find his channel very informative. Again, We probably collect very similar to the same things. And once again, just a good channel, and is the the degree of growth that his channel has shown over the last just a little bit of time is testament to that. Bat Avenger, Spidey Fan, ETA Nick, Doom 143. Those are just a few, and again, I know I'm forgetting a bunch. There's a lot of people that have done this, but these are just channels that I've stumbled across, in the last little time. Rag, just again, really good channels. Stuff that I learned from, stuff that I stumbled across, and really a lot of it was just luck. I mean, it was kind of the YouTube computers. When I put in comic books or put in that I was looking for slab books and stuff like that, that's where they sent me. So that's kind of why I found what I did. As far as how to fix his channel, one of the things he wanted to do, first of all, dude, what's up with that raggedy ass printer on your couch next to you? First of all, we're gonna have to do a GoFundMe page to get you something from the 20th century. I mean, that's about the only thing that you could do to fix your channel. Honestly, not too much. I mean, if the thing that I would tell you to fix would be the thing that makes your channel great. As far as I'd probably say get more superhero books and less obscure stuff. And again, I don't think that's something that you should fix. I think that's a good thing. Maybe give some techniques. Show how you do your cleaning. Maybe show how you do pressing. Stuff that again, you don't want to let the cat out of the bag as far as if you've got certain ways you do things, but maybe some instructional things, stuff like that would be kind of cool. Otherwise, I think you do a fine job. So again, I wouldn't change a whole lot. Then he wanted us to talk a little bit about books we like. This one, I'm going to show them for strange reasons. The Superman 75 that you're looking at right here, the reason I'm showing it is because it was the first thing that made me see that you could actually make $1 by flipping books. And I know that's a bad thing to probably talk about. Like I said, some people think that's the scourge of the earth. Me, on the other hand, I saw that this was getting a lot of press back in the day, and I think I ordered 100 or 150 of these. I had them all sold within a week out of my house, and a goofy little ad in a tiny newspaper for like a free newspaper, sort of like a Craigslist situation in Los Angeles. And it was crazy, man. It was like a crack house. I had people come to my house knocking on the door. I'd hand them a black bag. They would hand me $35, and I sold 150 of them. So this is the first book that showed me that was doable. So that's kind of why I like this book. I know it's probably goes against exactly what he wanted us to talk about, but again, these are little milestone books as far as in my collection that have meaning to me. This is one that I admire this. I showed it just a couple weeks ago. Love this book, and again, this is mainly because of the artwork. Nothing else. It's just an incredible creative way with the bats making up the face and the hair and stuff like that. It's just cool. And again, this pops out at you. A similar book to that is this one. When I saw that book up on the wall, I said to myself I had to have it. That's Hulk 340, Todd McFarlane art, of course. And again, my particular thing I've talked about before is reflection books. I liked how Hulk is reflected in the claws of Wolverine. Another one that I just got literally a day ago is Stabbity Bunny #2. This is a Kansas City Convention exclusive. It's signed by Richard Rivera up on top right here. And I'm a kind of a Clockwork Orange fan. I studied film and stuff like that. And I'm a big I like all the movies that Stanley Kubrick did. This one is one of the movies that I really dig, and I just like how he's swiped the advertising of Clockwork Orange. So this is a book I'll never leave my collection. This is one of the, and it's not really a super high price book. It's maybe $30-$40 book, but Just means a lot to me. This is one, I've got two of these. I've got a pretty lousy copy, which is right there. It's got some, it's kind of dirty. If the Hulk, I don't know if you can really tell, but it's kind of dirty. But then, once again, guys, my battery died, so I'm going to just, I saw it do it, so I'm going to pick up where that left off. I'll just try to edit the two pieces together. What I was saying is, this is probably my most expensive book in my collection. This is one that I actually got as a subscription. I subscribed to the Hulk and Marvel Team Up and Amazing Spider-Man, a few others, and this was right at this period when I collected. In this book, the lousy one is one of them that came as part of a subscription. It disappeared. I don't know what happened. Somebody probably figured out that it was a pretty noteworthy key issue way back when. But I got my hands on a couple more back in the late 80s, early 90s, and have hung onto them ever since. They've since really increased in value dramatically. Again, this is probably my most, as far as money goes, this is probably my most expensive book in my collection. I've had people look at it that seem to know stuff, and they said this should grade in the low 9s to mid 9s, so I'm hoping for that. I'm going to send this off to Daryl and have him do a good cleaning, pressing, and look over on this, and then I'm going to get this graded, and we'll see what happens. But again, as far as a holy grail book, a book I'm proud of, this one, if my house was on fire, other than my kids and my wife and my dog and my cat, this would be the next thing that I would grab to get out of the house, because it is a pretty valuable item. As far as this 121 and 122, these are the first books that I ever bought that were more than $100. I saw them up on a wall at a comic shop. Had a little bit of money in my pocket. The comic shop was having 50% off wall books, and I bought the set. I think I paid $120 for them both, and again, that was a lot of money back then. So this was the first, I guess, what you would call three-digit books that I owned. The story I read hundreds of times in reprints in Marvel, the reprint Marvel Tales. But I wanted to own the actual book, so when I saw them, I bought them. And again, they're something that I doubt if I'll ever sell, just because that story is what really made me fall in love with comic book collecting and Spider-Man as a general thing. Another book is this issue. It's a $1 book, 371, Fantastic Four. But what I love about it is the way that the white book makes Stan Lee's signature pop. And it's an embossed book. It's got the Human Torch kind of coming out. I don't know if you're not familiar with it. There's a red version, which is the second print, and the white version. But I love this one just because of the signature on it. There's no doubt whose signature is. There's no doubt that it has been signed. Sometimes the signature can get lost in a book. And that's what I liked about this. And this was before they had sketch variants. So that's kind of how I looked at this. And that's why I brought this book to Stan Lee to have him sign it when he was doing a signing a long time ago. We'll probably get this slabbed just because I want it to preserve. The white tends to get a little bit yellow over time. That's why I have it in the top loader. But again, I want to preserve this. This is one of the books that I doubt if I'll ever sell, just because I really like, again, having Stan Lee's signature. And another one is very recent. This is one I just got at a comic convention a few weeks ago, a couple months ago. Kevin Eastman, he was a really nice guy. It took me a while to get his signature. We had to wait in line for probably an hour and a half or 2 hours. But he couldn't have been nicer. He went out of his way to be nice to my daughter. And again, I thought that was cool, and he signed a couple other things as well, as a pop, one of the pop heads and stuff like that. And then last but not least is my Zap that I just got too. This reminds me again of a period of my life when I was just a kid. going through my brother's stuff, and this was, back in the day, this was kind of like finding a Playboy. It was kind of, you knew you weren't supposed to be reading them, but it was funny, and it was out there. And again, I've always wanted an original first print. That's what this is. It's not in great shape, like I mentioned, but it's all there, and it's complete. So this is another one that means a lot to me. As far as the last thing we were supposed to do is talk about the craziest thing we did for comic books. And I got to make this quick because my battery's going to die again. Back in the day, late 80s, mid 80s, before you had Instagram and YouTube and all that, there was the internet, but it was kind of like the Wild Wild West. I've heard other people talk about it, and there was boards where people collected books and traded and stuff like that. So what I had is somebody that was selling a Hulk 1, probably in about a 1.0, 1.5 shape, and somebody that wanted to buy a Hulk 1. So what I did is made the deal before I even had the book in my hand. I basically told the person I was going to come and pick it up, and I told the other guy I'd meet him like 3 blocks away and sell it. So I ran and picked the book up, paid $300 for it. It was a real Hulk 1. It was all there, but the cover was loose and stuff like that. And then the other guy, met him 5 minutes later, and it was kind of, again, a back alley in a hood in Los Angeles, so it was kind of sketchy. I was surprised I didn't get mugged or something like that, but it all worked out. In hindsight, though, 2020 hindsight, I wish I would have never sold it. I should have hung on to it. But again, I needed the money back then. The quick, I think $150 I made on it just for basically making the phone call. But that was sort of a crazy thing to do. It happened about 2 o'clock in the morning, and again, it was very strange, very weird. But it went down. Nobody got hurt. Everybody got what they bargained for, and it worked out fine. So again, kind of a crazy time. And that's about it, guys. Once again, thanks for watching the video.